All right. Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Always. What fascinating topic are we tackling today?
Well, today we're diving into something that's super fundamental for anyone learning a new language.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
We're talking about expanding your vocabulary. Specifically, we'll be looking at 30 words from the Oxford 5000. You know, that list of the most important words to know in English.
Ah, the Oxford 5000, a classic, and a great choice for our deep dive today. Mastering these words can really boost your fluency and help you understand English better.
Exactly. Okay, ready to jump in?
Absolutely, let's do it.
First word on our list is anchor. Now, this word might make you think about boats and ships, right? You know, that heavy thing that stops them from drifting away.
Yeah, definitely. Like, the ship dropped anchor in the harbor. Simple and straightforward.
Right. But anchor can also have a deeper meaning, a more figurative one. It can also be about stability and security in life.
Absolutely. It's like when you say someone's family is their anchor during tough times, it means they provide support and strength.
Yeah. Or you might say someone needs to find an anchor in their life, you know, something to give them a sense of grounding and purpose.
I like that. So, anchor can be a physical object or a more abstract idea, but it always represents something that provides stability and security.
Nicely put. Okay, let's move on to our next word, angel. I think most people are pretty familiar with this one.
Yeah, angels are often associated with spiritual beings, like those guardian angels people talk about. You know, she believed her deceased mother was her guardian angel.
Right. Or you could think about those Renaissance paintings with angels and all. But angel can also describe a person, someone who's exceptionally kind and pure.
That's true. Like, he was an angel helping the elderly woman cross the street.
Exactly. And of course, there's always that classic saying, he looks like an angel but behaves like a devil. You know, to talk about someone whose appearance doesn't match their actions.
Yeah. Appearances can be deceiving. Okay, so we've had a physical object and a spiritual being. What's next?
How about some action? Our next word is animation. And this one's all about movement and energy. Of course, we think about cartoons and animated movies.
Right, like the children were mesmerized by the colorful animation in the movie.
Yeah, but we can also use animation to describe someone who is lively and full of energy. Like if you say someone speaks with great animation, it means they're really expressive and engaging.
Yeah, or you could say a party lacked animation, meaning it was kind of boring and lifeless.
Exactly. So remember, animation can be about literal movement, like in cartoons, or a more figurative sense of energy and enthusiasm.
Okay, on to the next word, annually. This one's pretty straightforward. It means something that happens once a year.
Yeah, like my family goes on vacation annually.
Or the company holds its annual meeting in December.
And how about taxes are usually filed annually?
Oh.
So yeah, annually usually describes things that happen on a regular cycle.
Now let's get a little mysterious with our next word, anonymous.
Ooh, I like this one. It's all about keeping things secret, hidden, and unknown. Think about those mystery novels where the author is anonymous.
Yes. Or maybe someone makes a generous donation, but they want to remain anonymous.
Exactly. So you could say, the letter was sent by an anonymous source, or an anonymous tip led the police to the suspect.
And of course, anonymous is super relevant in the digital age. Think about all those online forums where people can comment anonymously.
Right, like he expressed his opinions anonymously online. It allows people to share their thoughts without revealing their identity. Okay, up next we have anticipate, which means to expect something to happen or to look forward to it.
It's like when you're excited about something that's coming up, like, I'm really anticipating the weekend. I need a break.
The weekend.
Yeah.
Always something to anticipate. But anticipate can also be used in a more serious way.
True. For example, you might say, I anticipate a good outcome from this meeting, or she couldn't anticipate the challenges she would face in her new job.
So it's about having expectations, whether they're positive or negative. Sometimes you can anticipate things accurately, and sometimes life throws you a curveball.
That's life for you. Speaking of curveballs, let's move on to anxiety. This word describes that feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease we all experience sometimes.
Yeah, we all know that feeling. Lots of things can cause anxiety, like public speaking, for example. Public speaking gives me anxiety. I think that's a pretty common one.
Absolutely. Or the upcoming exams were causing her a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, exams. Those were always stressful. And in general, you could say there's a lot of anxiety in the world today due to current events.
Unfortunately, that's very true. Okay, well, since we're talking about difficult situations, let's move on to apology. You know, that act of saying sorry and expressing regret for something you've done wrong.
Yeah, sometimes we all mess up and need to apologize. Like, he offered a sincere apology for his hurtful words.
Right, acknowledging the impact of his actions. Or she accepted his apology and they moved on. It's about taking responsibility and seeking forgiveness.
And sometimes a simple, I owe you an apology, is enough to acknowledge a mistake and start to make things right.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit with our next word, apparatus. This one might sound a bit technical, but it's simply a set of equipment or tools used for a specific purpose.
Right, and it doesn't have to be super complicated. It can be something simple like he used a simple apparatus to open the stuck window.
Exactly. But apparatus can also refer to more complex equipment, like the firefighters needed special breathing apparatus to enter the burning building, emphasizing that the equipment's essential for safety.
Or in a scientific context, the lab was filled with sophisticated apparatus for conducting experiments.
So from simple tools to complex scientific equipment, apparatus covers a wide range of tools and equipment.
Now let's talk about something more positive. Appealing, which means attractive or interesting.
It's all about what we like and are drawn to, right? Like the idea of traveling the world sounds very appealing.
Or the restaurant's cozy atmosphere was very appealing. It's that feeling that makes you want to experience something.
And in a business context, they needed to make their product more appealing to a wider audience. It's all about attracting and engaging people.
Okay, up next we have appetite, which we usually associate with food, right?
Yeah.
Like, all that exercise gave me a huge appetite.
Yeah, that feeling of hunger after a good workout. But appetite can also describe a strong desire for something else, not just food.
Oh, that's interesting. Like what?
Well, think about it this way. Someone might have an insatiable appetite for knowledge, meaning they're always eager to learn new things.
Ah, I get it. Or she had an appetite for adventure, always seeking new experiences.
Exactly. So, while appetite often relates to food, remember it can also be a metaphor for any strong craving or desire.
Now, how about a word that brings people together? Applause.
Ah, the sound of appreciation. Whether it's for a performer on stage or for someone who's done something admirable.
Right, like the audience erupted in applause at the end of the concert.
But we can also use applause figuratively, like her efforts to help the community deserve our applause. It's a way of expressing approval and admiration.
Or, in a more casual setting, let's give a round of applause for the chef. This meal's fantastic.
Absolutely. Applause can be a powerful way to show appreciation and celebrate achievements.
All right, next word on our list is applicable, meaning relevant or appropriate in a particular situation.
This one often pops up in more formal contexts, like legal documents or rules. For example, you might see something like, these rules are not applicable in all cases, highlighting that the rules have limitations.
Right, or you might see, please submit all applicable documents with your application.
Exactly. And in a more casual setting, you could say, That advice isn't really applicable to my situation, meaning it doesn't quite fit the circumstances.
So remember, applicable is all about relevance and whether something is appropriate for a given situation.
Now let's talk about someone who's hoping to get something an applicant. This word describes someone who formally applies for something like a job or a scholarship.
Oh yeah, lots of us have been applicants at some point in our lives. And sometimes it can be a pretty nerve-wracking process.
Totally. Especially when the competition is fierce. Like, the company received thousands of applicants for the open position.
Yikes. Talk about pressure. But hey, even in those situations, it's important to remember every applicant has something unique to offer.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift to a word that's often used when talking about roles and positions. Appoint. This means to choose someone for a specific role or task.
Ah, so it's like when someone is given a particular job or responsibility, like the president appointed a new member to the cabinet.
Exactly. Or the committee was appointed to investigate the issue.
And of course, we use appoint in less formal settings too, like I'm appointing you to be in charge of snacks for the party.
Haha, that's a very important appointment. All right, how about a word that expresses gratitude? Appreciation is all about recognizing the value of something or someone.
It's a powerful feeling, and it can be expressed in so many ways, like I express my sincere appreciation for their help, to acknowledge their kindness and support.
Exactly. Or you might say someone has a deep appreciation for nature, spending hours hiking in the mountains. It's about recognizing the beauty and wonder of the world around us.
And sometimes a simple thank you, I appreciate it, is all it takes to convey that feeling of gratitude.
Simple but powerful words. All right, next up, appropriately. This means behaving in a suitable or fitting way given the situation.
Yeah, we've all got to read the room sometimes and act accordingly. So you might say, she dressed appropriately for the formal dinner.
Or, he responded appropriately to the criticism, acknowledging his mistakes. It's about acting in a way that's respectful and considerate of the context.
And of course, it's always important to behave appropriately in public spaces, to keep things running smoothly and avoid any awkward moments.
Now, let's get a little bit philosophical with our next word, arbitrary. This one's about things that are decided randomly or without a clear reason or system.
So basically, it's when something seems random or based on personal whim rather than logic or fairness.
Exactly. You might say, the decision felt arbitrary and unfair, especially if you feel like the decision maker didn't have good reasons.
Or you might say, the rules seemed arbitrary and restrictive, limiting people's freedom.
And in a less serious context, we made an arbitrary decision to order pizza instead of sushi. Just a random choice, no big deal.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to go with your gut. Okay, let's shift gears again and talk about something a bit more visual, architectural. This word describes anything related to the design and construction of buildings.
Yeah, so think about the unique features and styles that make buildings stand out. Like, the city is known for its stunning architectural landmarks.
Right, or you might say the building's architectural details were intricate and beautiful, highlighting the craftsmanship and artistry.
And of course, architectural can also be used more broadly, like, I'm fascinated by the architectural differences between old and modern buildings. It's about comparing and contrasting different styles and eras.
Now, let's step back in time with our next word, archive. This one can be both a noun and a verb, which is always fun.
Yes. As a noun, it refers to a collection of historical documents or records, like the researchers spent hours poring over old documents in the historical archive.
So it's like a treasure trove of information from the past.
Exactly. And as a verb, archive means to store or preserve something for future use, like The library is working to archive digital copies of old books. It's all about preserving history and knowledge.
Or in a personal context, I carefully archived all my old photos so I wouldn't lose them.
Always a good idea. Those memories are precious. Okay, ready for some action. Let's step into the arena with our next word.
Ooh, I like this one. It brings to mind images of gladiators and sporting events.
Right. It can definitely refer to a physical space, like a sports arena or a concert arena.
But it also has a figurative meaning, describing any field of activity or competition.
Exactly. Like the political arena can be a tough place, all those debates and power struggles.
Or, she was a rising star in the business arena. So, arena can be a real place or a metaphor for any environment where people compete or strive for success.
Now let's introduce a word that acknowledges different perspectives. Arguably.
This one's great for starting a friendly debate, right?
Yeah.
Like when you want to present your opinion, but also acknowledge that others might disagree.
Right. It's like saying he is arguably the best basketball player of all time. You're making a strong claim, but you're also leaving room for different opinions.
Yeah. Or you could say, this is arguably her most impressive work to date, highlighting your perspective while recognizing that others might have different favorites.
And in a more casual setting, it's arguably the best pizza in town, but you might have a different favorite.
Pizza preferences. Always a hot topic. Okay, how about a word that has both literal and figurative meanings? Arm.
So literally, of course, it's a part of your body. She raised her arm to ask a question. Simple as that.
Easy peasy. But then there's that other meaning of arm, to supply with weapons.
Yeah, and that usage often has a more serious tone, like the country was arming itself for a possible conflict.
So arm can be a physical body part or a verb that describes the act of preparing for conflict or defense.
All right, let's move on to a word that evokes a sense of abundance and variety, array. This one describes an impressive display or a wide range of something.
Like when you walk into a store and see, the market offered a dazzling array of fresh fruits and vegetables. Just that feeling of being surrounded by so many options.
Yeah. Or when you're facing many challenges, you could say, they faced an array of challenges, but they are determined to overcome them.
And let's not forget the beauty of nature. The night sky was ablaze with an array of stars.
Beautiful imagery. Array can really paint a picture of abundance and variety.
Okay, how about a word that points us in the right direction? Arrow.
Of course, the literal meaning comes to mind first. The archer shot the arrow straight into the target.
But arrow can also be a symbol for direction or guidance.
Right, like those signs that say, follow the arrows to find the exit.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Or, time seemed to fly by like an arrow, which is often how it feels.
It does, doesn't it? So arrow can describe something moving quickly or pointing towards a specific goal, both literally and figuratively.
Now let's talk about someone who knows how to use their words well. Articulate. This describes someone who can express themselves clearly and effectively.
It's a valuable skill to have, whether you're giving a presentation or having a casual conversation. Like, the lawyer presented an articulate argument, persuading the jury.
Or, she was an articulate speaker, captivating the audience with her words.
And, sometimes we struggle to find the right words. Like, he struggled to articulate his feelings, finding it difficult to put them into words.
We've all been there.
Right.
Okay, next up we have artwork. This is a nice broad term that covers all kinds of creative visual pieces.
Yeah, from paintings and sculptures to photographs and digital art. Even a beautifully designed piece of furniture can be considered artwork.
Like, the museum showcased a diverse collection of artwork from around the world.
Or, her apartment was decorated with unique artwork that reflected her personality.
Artwork really adds character and personality to a space. And in a broader sense, artwork can inspire, provoke, and challenge our perspectives.
Absolutely. Art has the power to make us think and feel in new ways. Okay, let's shift to a word with a different tone. Ash. This word describes the powdery residue left after something is burned.
It often evokes a sense of loss or destruction, like the forest fire left behind a desolate landscape covered in ash.
Yeah, it's a powerful image of something that's been destroyed by fire, or the ancient city was reduced to ashes by the volcano.
And you can use ash figuratively, too, to describe the feeling of something being completely destroyed, like his dreams turned to ashes after the project failed.
So ash can describe physical remains or the feeling of something ending or being destroyed. Okay, ready for another action word. Step aside.
Okay, this one has a couple of meanings. Literally, of course, it means moving out of the way. Like, please step aside so I can get through.
Right. And then there's the figurative meaning of step aside, which is about withdrawing from a position or situation.
Like, the CEO decided to step aside after years of leading the company.
Or he stepped aside to let someone younger take charge. So stepping aside can be a physical act or a more symbolic gesture of giving someone else space or opportunity.
And finally, we've reached our last word for today's deep dive, aspiration. This word is all about those dreams and goals that drive us forward in life.
Yeah, those big things we strive for. Like, her aspirations included becoming a doctor and making a difference in the world.
Or he had high aspirations for his future career. Everyone's got aspirations, dreams, and goals, right?
Yeah.
It's what gives us direction and purpose.
Exactly. And I think it's really interesting that the word aspiration also relates to breathing. It's almost like our dreams and goals are essential for our very life force.
Wow, that's a beautiful way to think about it. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from anchor to aspiration.
And we've seen how seemingly simple words can have so much depth and nuance.
Absolutely. And remember, expanding your vocabulary isn't just about memorizing definitions. It's about understanding how these words work in different contexts and how you can use them to express yourself more effectively.
So go out there, use these words, explore their different meanings, and see how they enrich your understanding of the English language.
And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Until then, happy language learning.